Welcome back to another episode of Streaming Wars, the show that helps you navigate through the endless sea of streaming content. I'm one of your hosts, Chelsea Schwartz.
I'm your other host, Yell Teagle.
Woot woot! And so last week we crowned Netflix champion. Let's see if they can hold their title this week. Let's go straight into our predictions. Yale, what are you feeling?
I feel like this week, Netflix, although always king, is not going to walk away with the title. I don't know who is, but I have a feeling it's not going to be Netflix.
Yeah, I actually think this might be one of those rare weeks where Netflix doesn't win. And if I'm really looking at what's going on, like obviously Wandavision came out this week. My heart wants to lean towards wherever Marvel's at. So Disney Plus, strong contender, but HBO Max could also really come in this week. So
I agree.
Before we get into what happened this week specifically, I did want to ask you, what service did you spend the most time on this week?
That's a really good question. Usually I would say Netflix is where I spend most of my time, but this last week I was binging an old series called Mutant X, which is a great 2000 Canadian sci-fi series. And it's, or at least season 1, is available on Amazon, season 1 and 3, but not season 2. So I spent a lot of time on Amazon and then angrily left to Hulu. That's where I was this week.
Awesome. So points for Amazon Prime Video then?
No, -1 point to Amazon, because why is season 2 not there? Why is season 1 and 3? Who thought this was an okay idea? -1.
Even though they got the most attention from you this week, you're not having it. Interesting. Personally, I spent a lot of time on HBO Max. I caught up on The Undoing. I watched a lot of Big Bang Theory, especially after everything that was happening within our country this week. I needed to clear my mind at the end of the night a little bit, and Big Bang Theory is my place for that. And if not that, then it's Friends, which is also HBO Max. And then I also watched a lot of great new films like LockedDown that just came out. So I'm going to go ahead and give 3 points to HBO Max for holding my attention this week.
Wow, they're already taking the lead right there. Let's talk about LockedDown, because this was a movie that I was excited about. We all know how much I love a heist movie, and then it was not what I wanted.
Well, my initial reaction was I'm starting to read the synopsis. I was like, a movie about lockdown during COVID. We're still sort of in lockdown. Nobody needs this right now. Oh, it's an interesting twist on it's a heist movie. So then I'm thinking like Ocean's 11, right? Like I'm excited for some sort of epic pull off or whatever. And this was not a heist movie. I mean, it is, but not what you're expecting. And I was massively disappointed. I feel let down. I feel like it lingered for too long. It continued way past its expiration mark, and it was too soon. Way too soon for this pandemic. Like, we're still living it. I didn't need to watch people losing their minds stuck inside their homes because I'm currently doing that.
Yeah, I think that I'm not ready to laugh about, getting into fights with the people I'm stuck in a house with. We're not there yet. I think once we're out, then we can look back and go, yeah, remember when we got on each other's nerves? But you mentioned, this being a heisty thing. It's got Anne Hathaway in it, and it feels like she called her Ocean's 8 co-star Mindy Kaling to appear. Like that was fun. It's the cast is stacked.
Great cast in this. Obviously it's led by Anne Hathaway, but the cameo appearances from Mark Gatiss, who I love from Sherlock, and Ben Kingsley, and just all sorts of amazing little appearances. But it's still, like you said, it was too soon. Maybe if this film came out in 2023. All right. Well, with that said, points. We got to award some points for this. So it was too long, but the cast was great. But it was too soon. I mean, there still was aspect of a height. There's some points for originality in there to heist Herod's. I'm giving it a 4.
I'm also giving it a 4. Yeah, because you're right. Great cast, great idea, poor execution. Mm-hmm. But that seems to describe our current situation.
Absolutely. Moving right along, let's just jump into the big conversation of the week. Marvel and WandaVision is here. So our first episode is dropped. Obviously, we're going to have a week to week situation here. And because we're only like one day into like WandaVision existing, we're not going to talk about it specifically. We don't want to spoil anything. But I do want to talk about Marvel's Legends. Marvel Studios Legends came out on January 8th. I'm imagining there will be more episodes as we go on, and they dropped with 2 episodes. One about Wanda Maximoff, one about Vision. Yeah, I was really excited for like new Marvel content. I was like, it's from Marvel Studios. This is supposed to like prepare us for WandaVision, I guess. I was expecting maybe some behind the scenes footage, maybe some interviews from creatives. Like I would have loved Kevin Feige talking to us, or just actually talking to Lizzie Olsen herself or Paul Bettany. This was just a montage of every scene basically that Wanda or Vision was in, with no other context. It was just sort of like a refresher course, which great. I know we all wanted a refresher course before WandaVision, and a lot of people might not have the hours to rewatch all of the MCU, but I was disappointed by this. I felt like it was unnecessary.
Yeah, that sounds like a YouTube video that I could go and check out, and not something that should be on Disney Plus. That said, for WandaVision, I would give Disney Plus 10 points, but because of Legends, I'm taking a point away.
That's amazing. It's only a 9 for you? Okay.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, obviously really stoked that WandaVision is here and great MCU content. I feel like Legends needs more of a deduction from Disney Plus. So I'm going to give it a 6 overall.
Wow, you're mad.
I'm really upset about Legends. Like it was lazy. It was really lazy. And as somebody who has been wanting Marvel content since Endgame came out in 2019, like, come on.
That's fair. That's fair. Things that upset me. Let's talk about Apple TV Plus Greyhound, because this was supposed to be released in theaters, right?
Yes, it was supposed to be released in theaters in June of last year, but obviously from the pandemic, Apple ended up buying the rights for distribution and released it in July. And I finally just watched it this week. Like for some reason, I just never get around to the Apple content right away, but I always know it's gonna be really special and quality. I was really fascinated by Greyhound. I did not know about the Battle of the Atlantic before this. And when the movie was over, I went and Wikipedia'd and researched whatever I could about it because I was fascinated. This was a part of World War II I knew nothing about.
Yeah, I also knew nothing about it. Look, Tom Hanks can do no wrong, but his last slew of movies are not for me. This is not for me. A World War II movie on water is not for me. It's not for me. I don't know how many times I can say that.
World War II movies, I'm a little tired of them, especially with our cultural background. But this was a different point of view that I had not experienced, and I appreciated that. I was also really impressed. I actually got to spend some time this week with the costume designer and the sound composer and the cinematographer for this film. And I found out so many little nuances that I did not even realize that they were paying attention to. And, you know, in terms of visual effects, this movie is stunning. They filmed it on a stage with no water and had to actually direct people where they should be looking for the U-boat and the submarines and stuff like that. Most sound composers get one shot and they usually don't even know what the film looks like when they're submitting their idea. They actually got to have a second chance with this film and come back and look at it and make it work. And I thought that was really special. And so while it wasn't intended to be an Apple TV Plus original, it now is. It still upholds their qualities, I believe, of there's other standards and all of that stuff. I'm going to give Apple TV 7 points.
That's very kind of you. I'm going to give Apple TV 3 points because this is for somebody and those people are going to love it. I am going to give 9.5 points to the production team because a movie like this does take a lot. And I was not aware that it was done on a stage without actual water, which is incredible. So yeah, 9.5 to the production team for killing it.
Absolutely. Speaking of movies that are killing it, let's talk about One Night in Miami, which just came out on Amazon Prime Video this week. Now, this movie, we've talked about it briefly in the past. This is an awards contender.
Yes, this is directed by Regina King, which is very cool. It has some of my favorite people like Aldous Hodge and Leslie Odom Jr.
Whoop, whoop.
And the rest of the cast is also incredible. I was so impressed. I know this is one of your favorites. I
It's one of my
also
favorites of the last year. Absolutely.
Yeah. And this is based on a play. And I personally, I feel like you can see the influence of the play. It really feels like a play that was turned into a movie. There's like a thing that you notice when you watch a lot of plays turned into movies. And I feel like this one has that, but such a really beautiful way to tell this story.
Yeah, and not to mention the portrayals. Like, it is sometimes very difficult to step into these roles, like in The Crown, having to portray Queen Elizabeth and things like that. And just how do you take on these roles? This was probably, and I've said it before, the best portrayal of Malcolm X I've ever seen. Leslie Odom Jr. as Sam Cooke was just, I would like him to do an album of Sam Cooke covers now. Like, it was that good. And he just continues to just be this incredible talent. I definitely highly recommend to all of those watching. If you've not seen One Night in Miami, out of everything we've talked about this week, that is my number one recommendation to you. And that's 10 points to Prime Video for me.
I'm also going to give them 10 points. Yeah, even though I took one away at the beginning of the show, they get 10 points for One Night in Miami. Regina King also gets 10 points.
That brings us into our rapid fire, which is where we give you a bunch of the headlines from this week or just random things we've discovered and feel like awarding points to or taking points away from. So that's going to start us off with Peacock, our favorite service. And this week, I have to say that, I'm constantly looking for reasons as to why Peacock exists, why we need it, why we need to be paying money for it specifically. With what happened at the US Capitol this week, I needed a place to watch the news. And I don't have cable TV. And I was like, how can I watch the news right now? I want to know what's going on. And I remembered at some point I had noticed a news tab on Peacock. And I went, I wonder if I can watch the news live on Peacock. And it turns out you can. And there's multiple options of NBC related channels to watch the news. And I spent the entire day watching Peacock with their live news. So I'm going to give 1 point to Peacock for having live news. Thank you. I appreciate it.
That's so nice of you. I want to talk about the Sex and the City official reboot that is coming to HBO Max. That's right, 10 episodes of And Just Like That. That's the title. It is, as rumored, Sarah Jessica Parker, Cynthia Nixon, and Charlotte York are returning.
Yeah, which means that what she's not saying is that Kim Cattrall, who plays Samantha, which is a big part of the show. Like, to me, the show is carried by Samantha and Carrie. It's carried by Carrie. That's hilarious. So Kim not returning for this show, I'm taking a point away from HBO Max for doing this without Kim.
Wow. I'm giving them 2 points just for bringing back a beloved show, but also we've said it before, why are we rebooting things? So I guess I'm taking those 2 points back. They're getting 0 points for me. I'm not changing the score is what I'm saying. I know we talked about Bridgerton and Netflix before, but there's some really exciting stuff coming out about Bridgerton, and we both really enjoyed that show.
Absolutely. It's a show that I'm actually like rewatching, and I've already rewatched. So just 1 point for that in general, just 1 point for Bridgerton on Netflix. But some exciting news. Season 1 was so well received. And I think it broke all Netflix records. Like, I think it beat The Witcher as well, that the showrunner is now contemplating and hopeful to do 8 seasons of Bridgerton, which I might make it one of the longest running shows or the longest running show. I think Grace and Frankie's only at 7 seasons. So that would be incredible. Like, if they have a well thought out plan where they can carry this story for 8 seasons, I am here for it. 1 more point to Netflix.
Yeah, I think it would be incredible if they could do 8 seasons. That feels very Shondaland, so that makes sense. But also, there were Bond rumors about the Duke himself, that he might now play Bond. I really appreciate him speaking out and saying that anytime a British man does something successful, there's always Bond rumors, so not to take them too seriously. But I give him a point because I'd watch him as Bond.
Nice. That actually brings me down to Hulu. Hulu just did a kind thing for college students this week, and we thought we'd point it out in case you too are a college student. You can now get Hulu for $2 a month, as long as you can prove that you are currently a college student. So 1 point for Hulu.
Absolutely a point for Hulu. That is so kind of them. And I think that just put them on the board today.
Entering the race with 1 point. All right.
Yes. Also over at Netflix, I am a big Umbrella Academy fan, and season 3 production, I believe, is starting in February in Toronto, assuming things continue to go well. But they just announced some really exciting casting stuff and told us who is going to be playing the Sparrows in the next season. So if you're familiar with the graphic novels, or if you've just been following all the news, this is very exciting for you. If you have not, I will not spoil anything, but 1 point to Netflix for getting back to production for that show, because I love it so much.
Absolutely. Well, that brings us to what we're probably leaning towards our favorite segment of the show now, which is Challenge Yourself. It's where we challenge you and ourselves to watch something out of the box. Well, at least for us, it breaks our comfort zone. Since you guys are suggesting the shows for us most of the time, it might be one of your favorite shows. I don't know. Last week, though, we challenged you to watch Best Leftovers Ever. And Yale, what did you think of the show?
So Best Leftovers Ever on Netflix was not something I was looking forward to. I'm not a cooking show person. That said, it feels, in terms of production style, like it is made by the same team that makes Nailed It. And I love Nailed It. I am obsessed with Nailed It. And the fact that it has a host who has nothing to do with cooking or baking, the way that Nicole Byer hosts Nailed It. We have an actress from Glow hosting this, and I think it makes sense. I enjoyed it, which was very surprising. I don't think I would be as devoted as I am to Nailed It, but I did enjoy this.
I too went into this like reality shows, competition shows, cooking things usually give me anxiety. Like, I'm not down for this. Also, the idea of just turning leftovers into like hot cuisine, I was just like, I don't know. But I have to say that besides Jackie, Rosemary and David So, which are our educated judges team, if you will, were fantastic. Their rapport, their takeover tips, or takeout tips is what it was called. I loved it. And I loved Rosemary's energy when she would give them. Like, it was the most exciting moment for her to share.
Yeah.
And then some of these creations that people made, it was just like, this is incredible. How did you think of to do this? Because none of these people were actual chefs. You know, like these weren't legit chefs competing. These were like house moms, you know, and things like that. Or, you know, the best chili cook-off winner of your town, those kinds of people. So I was pleasantly surprised. It kept my attention. I watched the whole thing. I enjoyed it. Thank you for challenging us. I have 5 points to Netflix.
Wow. I'm going to do 6 points because it was surprising, not just how much I enjoyed it, but also every time they would take something and go, oh, I'm going to make something fancy. You go, how? Yeah, that doesn't make any sense.
Like when they were making like gnocchi out of French fries and stuff like that, I was just like, what? Like, yeah. So this week, to challenge ourselves, we actually polled people on my nerdy Instagram account, Sprinkled by Magic. If you don't follow that, make sure you join, because there will probably be future polls. And we asked what we should watch this week, and we picked an answer. What did we pick, Il?
Yes, we have been challenged to watch Servant over on Apple TV Plus. This is the M. Night Shyamalan series. I'm gonna watch it. That's how I feel about all our challenges. I'll watch because we were told to.
I have to say, in terms of M. Night, like, I have a lot of respect for him. Absolutely. And I just it's not my thing normally. Got a lot of respect, a lot of talent that goes in there, a lot of great cast that you work with. The production quality is fantastic. It's just normally not my thing, but we're gonna watch it.
Servant also has a second season coming out, so like if we turn out to like it, that'd be even better.
There's that. So yeah, if you two have not watched Servant, go ahead. We're challenging you as well as ourselves to watch Servant on Apple TV Plus this week, and then leave your comments next week or this week down below, or write us on our socials, or however you send a carrier pigeon, whatever floats your boat. But we're going to discuss it next week on the show. So yeah, I think that brings us to the end.
Yeah, I think it's time to crown a winner.
Ooh, I'm so excited. All right, drum roll, please. And our winner is Amazon Prime Video. Whoa, I did not see that coming.
Yeah, especially because they started off by losing a point for not having season 2 of Mutant X.
Yeah, definitely. And they weren't even in my prediction radar whatsoever. But you know what? They beat out Netflix this week, which is rare for them. So kudos to Amazon Prime Video. Well, thank you so much for joining us here on Streaming Wars on that hashtag show. Make sure that you like and subscribe to that hashtag show wherever you can do so.
Yep, and we'll see you next time. Bye, everybody.